Really some twists and turns. You can see on the GPS, I always say when the GPS starts looking like this, that's when you are really enjoying the ride. Good morning and welcome back to Vander's View channel. I'm finding myself in Barrydale at the famous Diesel and Cream, so I had some coffee and a very nice breakfast here. But what was very interesting here, when I parked there was no motorcycles, and suddenly there's a lot. I think there's at least 10 motorcycles that's surrounding me, and I caught up with some of the people here. And Chris, thank you very much for introducing yourself. He says he's watching Vander's View channel. Just appreciate the chat. It's now just around 9:30 in the morning, and I'm very excited about the trips that I'm going to take now, which will be all the way from Barrydale to Swellendam through the Tradouw Pass. Quite a few big bikes here. The Honda CRF 300 Rally is by far the smallest, but I enjoy the Honda because it is just the kind of bike that I like to ride for the type of roads I take. This is now the road, the R62, that passes through Barrydale, and I'm just taking it to get outside of the town. You can see where we are going. That is where the Tradouw Pass is going through, and it's looking ominous. The wind is coming quite strongly from that direction, and the clouds are looking dark, so I hope I'm not riding into rain today. But that is the road I have to take to get to Swellendam. So I'm turning off on the R324 here from the R62. Yeah, there's a lot of other bikers as well. You can see this is a popular route for biking. So let me just make the turn here to Swellendam. So this trip from Barrydale to Swellendam is probably one of the shortest trips that I will take on this series of videos. It's only 46 kilometers, but I think it's going to be very beautiful riding the Tradouw Pass. But yeah, the wind is not playing along today. It is quite a strong wind. I already left Cape Town 2 days ago, so if you have not seen the trip so far, please go and have a look at the videos before this one. I rode some beautiful roads through Anysberg Nature Reserve and also all the way to Calitzdorp, the Seweweekspoort Pass, and staying over last night in the beautiful, quaint little town of Van Wyksdorp. Yeah, I'm getting a bit worried. The wind is now straight ahead, and I think the bit of sunshine that we are seeing now, this is the last of it. This is the start of the Tradouw Pass. It is 14 kilometers long, and apparently it shows some of the best views, the most beautiful views of the rugged mountains of the Langeberg. Because we're going to pass through the Langeberg now. We will see how good the views are with this cloud coming in. The pass was started to build already in 1868, so that's interesting. That is the same date when the town of Barrydale was established. And of course, you could probably have guessed it, it was built by Thomas Bain. He's probably the most famous pass builder in South Africa. But it took 5 years to build, from 1868 and completed in 1873. And like all of these old passes, built by convict labor. Let's enjoy the views going through while I'm fighting the wind a bit. Yeah, seeing some of the first rugged peaks of this part of the Langeberg. This route to Swellendam, as I said, is not a very long route. This next 14 kilometers or so is the Tradouw Pass, and then we will just make a quick pass through the town of Suurbraak. So I will talk a little bit more about Suurbraak when I get to it. Beautiful, beautiful vegetation here next to the road. You can see there's somebody stopping to collect some fresh fountain water. Really some twists and turns. You can see on the GPS, I always say when the GPS starts looking like this, that's when you are really enjoying the ride. I think this thick cloud cover might be hiding away some of the most beautiful higher peaks, but one is already getting a good sense of how beautiful this pass is. I've never ridden or driven this pass. It's my first time ever, so it's quite amazing how many beautiful passes there are. You can easily ride the roads in the vicinity of a pass and never, well, actually ride the pass. So I'm very pleased that I'm able to ride the Tradouw Pass today. Yeah, look at these sheets and sheets of, it's quite a common feature in this mountains. We also saw this in the Suurbraak Pass when I passed there through the Suurbraak. Oh, this is amazingly beautiful, even with the cloud cover. I think maybe the cloud cover is actually making it even more dramatic. I'm certainly loving this. I'm feeling a little bit of wetness in my face. I hope this doesn't mean there's some serious rain coming. I'm not really geared to ride in the rain, but let's see. This is certainly a beautiful pass. I just took a turn off here in the Tradouw Pass. This is called Picnic Bos. So this sounds quite apt, or quite what one wants if you want to make a bit of a stop to rest a bit. Yeah, I made a stop here next to the road in the Tradouw Pass. This parking spot is actually called Picnic Bos, so this is the bush to take a picnic. But yeah, I think it's just a very tranquil spot. I mean, if you see how it is on the road, there's quite a bit of wind and there's also a slight drizzle, which is not really a concern. But this is just a tranquil spot to stop. You can probably hear some water in the back. It's actually a beautiful little waterfall that you can see here where I'm parked. So let's just go and have a look at it. I'm not sure how visible it is on the camera, but you can probably hear it. Small little waterfall coming down. Now this Tradouw Pass is very beautiful, even on a day like today where it is a bit overcast and misty. This is beautiful. Yeah, so as in previous videos, I am sharing my thoughts and experiences with the Honda CRF 300 Rally. I bought this bike about 6 months ago. I just love it. It is a 300cc. I get the sense I can ride any road with it, and that's good because I like taking the back roads, the dirt roads, and yeah, this bike will take me there. It is not that powerful, so I feel I can control it. It's not heavy, it's about 150 k's. If it falls over, I can pick it up. But it is powerful enough to cruise along quite nicely on the roads that I ride. I will also talk a little bit about some more modifications. If you want to see my comments on some of the modifications I did first on this bike, please go and have a look at the previous few videos. But today I would like to highlight one specific, which I find quite an interesting modification that I did to the bike. The interesting modification that I want to talk to you about in the video for today is how I mount the controller of the drone so that I can control the drone while I'm riding the bike. Now that becomes a bit involved, and yeah, it took a bit of thinking to get to the point where I feel I can control the drone while I'm riding. As the problem is, you cannot hold the controller in your hand. You need to fix it somewhere on the bike so that it can be steady enough so that it doesn't fall off. I must acknowledge a very interesting YouTuber that I'm following, Project Biker. If you want to see beautifully edited videos, that's the most beautiful videos I've seen. Project Biker. He also rides a Honda CRF 300 Rally. He's from England, so I got the idea on mounting the controller for the drone from him. I actually corresponded with him, shared my comments, and he was very gracious in letting me know how he does it, and I'm following a very similar method to fix the controller. So let me show you first what I'm doing. I hope you're able to see this, but there you will see there's a clamp on the handlebars of the bike here that you can just fix and loosen there. And then on the top of this clamp there is an SP Plus Connect adapter. Now this is the same adapter that I'm using also for the mounting of the phone. So you can see it is a mechanism that slots out like this, SP Connect. And then it's got a unit there, a vibrating dampener for the phone. But it is so easy, it slots in, you twist it by 90 degrees, and this is very much fixed and it will never come loose. And when I saw this, I thought, well, it would be good to also fix the controller of the drone in the same way. And then when I saw Project Biker doing this, I inquired, and he said he's actually making use of a quad lock system. Now, quad lock, as I understand, is an Australian system that works very similar to how the SP Connect work. So if you look at if I just take out the drone controller here, it is quite a bulky unit. So you can see it's about, well, probably a bit larger than my hand, and there is some weight to this. So to mount this in a way that it is fixed onto the bike, so you want it to be fixed so that you can only, actually it is this way around, so when you use it, it is in this way, so that you can actually work the controllers while it is fixed to the bike. So he gave me the idea of using a universal connector for quad lock, but I'm using, of course, the SP Connect universal connector. So you can see here, this is basically a unit that is stuck with super glue onto the controller, and then you fix it to this unit or the adapter, similar to what you do with the phone. So you just slot it in and you twist it through 90 degrees. And there you can see the whole controller is now quite sturdy and fixed, and you can use the control buttons to actually, with the one hand, control the drone while the bike is riding. So yeah, I hope you find this interesting. I think it is part of the things that I have to learn to do solo motorcycling riding, and I trust you would agree that when it comes to riding, drone shots just give that extra perspective that really gives quality to the footage. So please share in your comments what you think of this. If you maybe have better ideas on how I should do this. I'm not sure how long this will last. The weak point in this design is, of course, sticking the universal connector to the back. But on this trip, I've used it several times on bumpy roads, and it worked very well. This was now a lovely quick stop in Picnic Bos here next to the Tradouw, well, the road in the Tradouw Pass. Let's continue towards Swellendam. I can still feel the slight drizzle in my face, so it's still a question, an open question of how wet I will become on this trip still. Let's continue. We are probably about halfway through the Tradouw Pass now. I can see it's still about 7.2 kilometers to the next turn off. Yeah, I think I will have to come back to ride the Tradouw Pass. It is beautiful what I'm seeing, but a little bit of a drizzle and of course the quite thick cloud cover doesn't make it that easy to see all the beautiful features, I think, of this pass. Yeah, so here we're probably now at the peak, Tradouw Pass. It says 351 meters. So this is the height. And now it will probably be just more downhill. This is a very nice ride down. Sweeping bends of the Tradouw Pass. well, bends, some of them are quite tight turns. Let's just make a quick stop here and see what we can learn a bit more about the Tradouw Pass. Just want to make sure that I'm safe when I cross here. I think this is actually quite a nice place to get some views. Indeed, as I mentioned, it was built or completed in 1873 and the summit is 355 meters. Oh, but there are such a lot of beautiful stopping places. Just look at this little picnic spot here as well. This is just great. Under this overhang of a rock. It's even it's almost like a cave going in there. Not sure if you can see it. You can walk up that little pathway and there is a cave. It's called Drupkelder. It's probably drop cellar where water is dripping in. Ah, beautiful. Yeah, next to a willow. Just get through the leaves. We have now reached the bottom of the Tradouw Pass here on the R324. It seems to be able to stay on the 324. You need to make a right hand turn here to Suurbraak and Swellendam at the stop. It actually becomes a T-junction. We are now at the southern side of the Langeberg, so this is now why we are in the cloud cover. So now it's only a few kilometers to the small town of Suurbraak. The road remains misty, but at least it is mostly a heavy mist and not really rain. So I'm keeping dry. Actually a very comfortable ride because now of course not hot. We made the short hop now to the town of Suurbraak here on the R324. So let's just take it a bit slower and have a bit of a look. Suurbraak actually has a very old history. I mean, it was already established as a mission station town in 1812. So that's long ago, by the London Missionary Society. So it's got a long history and again built around missionary and church activities. The name Suurbraak, the only thing that I can imagine is that it refers to fields that are prepared for planting. Might be sour or to lay braak. I will check what the English is, but that is only my assumption. Ah, this is a beautiful little town. Look at this town center. And obviously seeing that it's a Sunday morning, some church activity here. Yeah, so we arrived here in Suurbraak just as the church has come out for the morning service, and indeed, as it says here on the board, there is a short history of this church and missionary station being established in 1812 already. The first missionary was Reverend John Philip, so obviously from England, seeing that this is the London Missionary Society that established. Beautiful old building, thatched roof, and there at the back, you might not be able to see it, is the clock tower. Beautiful, but let's continue with our ride through Suurbraak. And this is the municipal buildings just across the street from the church. Now this was now a very pleasant little stop here in Suurbraak. I've never been in Suurbraak, so it is even more beautiful than I thought it would be. And it's interesting to learn a bit more about the history. Sometimes I'm amazed by how old some of these settlements are, how long ago it was established. So 1812, I mean, it was established then even before towns like Barrydale even. I mean, it is significantly older. Yeah, I think this is now the end of Suurbraak. Let's continue on to Swellendam. To get to Swellendam, we need to get onto the N2 main road. Unfortunately, I cannot really avoid that. but it's only 21 kilometers now to Swellendam, and it's about 8.5 kilometers from Suurbraak to get onto the N2. I will just enjoy the beauty of this road. I mean, the vegetation and scenery is really pretty, and that is despite the cloud cover that is quite thick. Now cruising at the leisurely 100 kilometers per hour or so on the R324 from Suurbraak. I'm actually finding this heavy, misty riding conditions quite pleasant. The R324 now link up onto the N2 National Highway in the stretch that connects Swellendam with Heidelberg. Now this is, after the N1, the second national highway, of course, in South Africa. It takes the coastal route from Cape Town all the way to Durban, all along the coast of South Africa. It is a beautiful stretch of road, and especially this part going towards Knysna and so on is also known as the garden route of South Africa, but it does mean that it's also used by many heavy trucks and so on. So we just cross over here. Yeah, so I have to stay on it for the next 11 kilometers to get to Swellendam. That was now quite a quick ride on the N2, but also quite pleasant. There, Swellendam is becoming a bit visible through the cloud cover in front. Now, what can I say about Swellendam? I think Swellendam is probably one of the most extraordinary towns in the Western Cape. I think it is because it's so old. It is the third oldest town in all of South Africa. The only towns or places that are older than Swellendam is Cape Town and Stellenbosch. So it was already established in 1745, as the board also shows here. And it gets its name from Governor Hendrik Swellengrebel. So Swellengrebel is quite a mouthful, but that is where Swellendam comes from, and I just passed the airport where it is also called Swellengrebel Airport. Now, the historical significance of this town is extraordinary. It's got more than 50 declared heritage sites in the town. So this is just, I mean, if you're interested in history, and especially the early Dutch settlements of South Africa history, then Swellendam is the place to be. You can see this is the museum. It is a typical house in the era of, probably built in the late 1700s, this one. Of course, the Cape was ruled by the Dutch from early on, after first Dutch people settled it in 1652, but into the 1700s all of these areas were Dutch, so there's a Dutch history here. And this town, seeing that it is so far east from Cape Town, was very much seen as almost like an eastern frontier town of the Dutch settlement in that era. Now, there are many historical places here. I think you can come for a few days and not be able to see all that history has to offer here. But I'm just going to focus on two particular buildings, and the one that I would like to point out is the Drostdy. The Drostdy is probably the most famous building in Swellendam, and this is the building that you are seeing here to my right hand side. So I'm just going to pull a bit closer, and then we can have a bit of a look. Yeah, this is the Drostdy, beautiful white thatch roof building. And it is a museum today. I just made a stop here next to Swellengrebel Road. As I said, the town of Swellendam was named after Governor Hendrik Swellengrebel, and this main road running into the town is also named after him, so the Swellengrebel Road. But I'm just standing here in front of parts of the Drostdy building, which is probably one of the most famous buildings in Swellendam. So this building, unfortunately, is not the original anymore. It was built in the 1700s, the first version, and then it was significantly extended in both 1810 and 1825. So this is what we see today, which actually doubled it in size, and it's got these famous H-plan building of Cape Dutch style houses of the time. So yeah, I think this is an extraordinary place to come and visit. If you want to experience or see the history of the town of Swellendam, this is the place to come. You can see the whole stoep area of this part of the Drostdy building. Here next to some beautiful oak trees in the street. And what gives a better sense of history and long past history than an old ox wagon? Just look at it. This is how they did the transport. Just imagine how long it took to transport and to travel roads during that time. I'm just finding this wind still environment very pleasing. Yeah, I'm just making a turnaround here in front of the Drostdy, because if one takes this little side road here, you can see a little bit more. You can see it's a whole complex of buildings extending right here to the back. All beautiful white thatched roof. As I said, a lot. 50 heritage sites in Swellendam, so there's a lot to see. So I'm only focusing on just introducing you to the Drostdy and showing you, of course, of the extraordinary beauty of this. But let's go to one of the other most prominent landmarks in Swellendam. And yes, you guessed it, the church. As with all towns in this area, it is built around the church, but this is just the museum still. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. But this church is not any old church. This is an extraordinary church. Maybe it is just to mention that the first church was already built in 1798, so that is really a long time ago. But that church is not in existence anymore. As this town grew, that church became too small, and the existing church was built in 1911, which significantly extended the size, so it can now seat around 1,400 people. Oh, but just look at these houses. The Coachman is this house. No, anywhere you ride, anywhere you go in this town, you will see extraordinary beauty, and you will get a sense of history. There at the end of the street is this extraordinary building. What is so significant about it is that it is very much a combination of prominent building styles. So it's got Baroque features, it's got Gothic features, it's got Cape Dutch features. Simply extraordinary. The tower of this church is modeled on the bell tower of the city of Mons in Belgium, so it's got quite a close link to some prominent architecture in Europe. But I find it extraordinary. It almost doesn't look like a church. Of course the steeple is there, but it has got such a lot of interesting features that it is simply amazingly beautiful. Yeah, just look at the bell tower. Yeah, so it says there 1911. I'm just going to make a stop there in front of the church. This main road of Swellendam is quite busy, but I made a stop here because this is where the church is. Extraordinary, don't you think? I just find it fascinating to have this kind of buildings in South Africa. It is also declared a national heritage site, so yeah, extraordinarily beautiful. Let's have a bit of another look. Isn't this extraordinary? Look at that bell tower popping out there at the back of the church. This church is aptly, of course, by locals referred to as the White Church, or the Mother Church, or in Afrikaans we would say Moederkerk, as it's also displayed on this gate here. It is a bit noisy in this main road of Swellendam, but this is where the trip ends for today. Thank you very much for joining me with this ride from beautiful Barrydale through the Tradouw Pass. Of course it was a bit wet, but beautiful. I think I must ride it again, but we did get a good sense of how beautiful the Langeberge is when you drive or ride through the Tradouw Pass. Ending off in Swellendam. Now Swellendam, I'm not doing it justice, surely. I mean, I only focused on the Drostdy and the Mother Church, but this is an extraordinary town with a long and old history in South Africa. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video for today, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and then I will continue my trip now and I will bring this to you in the next video. So thank you very much and keep well. Bye bye.